No, I think the commissioner has moved on. I think Tom has moved on because he realized there's nothing. People there will be a certain segment of the population that believe he did it. There will be a certain segment that believe he didn't do it. And so for him, he's always had fuel for motivation because he was a sixth-round draft pick.
Sure.
He can't understand why these teams would pass on him. What did they possess? Besides the ugly 40 time that he ran and how awkward and gangly he looked running it.
And still does sometimes, but go ahead.
What did they see in them that they didn't see in him? He's like, oh, I beat Alabama in my last game.
He did in the Orange Bowl.
And so you mean to tell I'm playing at Michigan. I'm playing on the big stage. I bided my time. I really should have been a starter maybe a year or two earlier. But hey, that's neither here nor there. So what was that? So he used not only the sixth-round draft pick, but he used being away from it. Because there are times that when you're an athlete, Skip, and you're training, and I know I'm speaking from personal experience, there are times that you deny yourself because you're like, I don't want any excuses down the road why I failed. I shouldn't have ate that chocolate chip cookie. I should have went to bed at 11 instead of going at 2 a.m.
Okay.
All these things. So he used that. It burnt. Now, I'm sure he'll say, well, hey, I did it for love. But Skip, there's nothing. See, when athletes, it's not, and I tell guys this all the time. I say, don't do it to prove them wrong. Do it to prove you right. He did it to prove, he says, I'm still great. You think my greatness has to do with a football. My greatness has to do with this and this.
Correct.
Because I can outthink you, and I got heart that I will not quit. So the footballs, give me a bowling ball. And if that guy has a bowling ball, I'll beat him. Give me a cannonball. If he has one of those, I'll beat him at that too. So Tom's thought process is the way, Skip, for me, and I told you this, and you looking at me like, I said, going into this game, win, lose, or draw, he's the greatest quarterback that's ever, because I'm not a one-game guy. I'm looking at his body of work. Joe went to 4 Super Bowls in 16 years. Tom went to 7 in 17 years. Okay, advantage Tom. Tom won 4, Joe won 4. He was a 3-time MVP in the Super Bowl, so was Tom. Tom was a 2-time league MVP, so was Joe. Okay, now you start looking, Skip, okay, what about the division titles? What about the AFC Championship games that Tom's appeared in? 24-9 going into that game. So for me, he was already the greatest quarterback, but I told you this also. I said, Skip, if he wins this game and he's the MVP, he passes Jerry, he passes LT, and a lot of people say Jim Brown. Tom Brady is the greatest football player in the 97-year history of the NFL. There's nothing else to debate. You can get a Harvard-educated lawyer. You can get one from the John Jay School of Law. Nobody can argue this. The fashion in which he did it and the body of work, his resume is extensive. 14 division titles, 2 Super Bowl, 2 league MVPs, a 5,000-yard passing season, 5 Super Bowls, 4-time he was the Super Bowl MVP. In the past 2, the way he's come back in dramatic fashion. What are we doing? He has the highest total passing yards in NFL history in the Super Bowl. 43, what was he? 43, 45 of 63, 466, 2 touchdowns. When it mattered the most.
You mean last
in
time?
this game.
Yeah, but this is, you were talking about what you said last week.
Yeah. I'm saying if he had won this game, he was going to be the greatest player. He was going to pass Jerry because I gave it to, I thought Jerry and LT. I go back and forth between Lawrence Taylor and Jerry Rice. Throw Jim Brown in there because what he did in the 9 years he played. But Skip, now for me, it's Tom. What are we debating?
Okay. So, this is what I believe. I believe you might have sung a different tune if his play had continued down the path it took last night for the first 2.5 quarters. If he had had an ugly Super Bowl loss on the order of 42-10, and it dropped him to 4-3 in Super Bowls, and Joe was 4-0 in Super Bowls.
But he only got to 4.
Okay, but I still say you might have sung a little different tune. You might have said, you know what? I don't know. Maybe we need to rethink this a little bit.
No, we would have looked, and early on, I mean, if it was anybody else, we was like, man, Brady choking today. Because the pressure was immense, because of what he was going for, what he had gone through just to get to this point. He missed a quarter of the season. He came back, and it was like he had never left. Okay, now he's going for 5. 5 Super Bowls. He's going to be the MVP. So for me, even if he had lost. Skip, 7 is more than 4. So
Okay.
you mean to tell me because a guy goes to 4 and he wins all 4 of them, that's more impressive than a guy going to 7 in the same amount of years?
Yeah, I mean, I would have an issue with it. I told you I needed to see one more to close the deal and one more MVP.
Skip, the man was
and I got it.
The man was 24-9 going into this game.
Hey,
But we're going to talk about
I
this.
covered Joe Montana, and I knew him enough to know he was really special
He
now.
was.
And he should have been 4 for 4 in MVPs. Jerry got the one on
Right.
early vote because he broke the receiving record,
215
yards. Okay, now let's go bigger picture now. I still say, as I sat back last night and looked at this, that Tom Brady is not receiving enough credit for his Super Bowl resume because, in my opinion, he does look, let's do it the other way. He doesn't look the part of a superstar quarterback. He's not the most athletic guy. He's not the coolest guy. Some people think he's cool. Some think he's sort of nerdy cool. But whatever, he doesn't, he's Ugg boots and advertising satin sheets or whatever it is. It's not the cool things to do, right?
He's not power,
No.
say like a Jim Brown or LT.
No.
He's not grace and elegance like a Jerry.
No.
But
There's an unathleticness
Yes,
to him.
yes,
and I
yes.
get that. He also throws a really sweet football. He threw some last night where I was like, wow. Now, it's not cannon shots.
No.
But they're accurate, catchable passes.
Yes.
Okay? I think you would have loved catching some of his passes. I believe you would have.
Of course, but when I look at Tom, I look at Tom, and I was like, what other position on the football field could Tom play besides quarterback?
None.
That's it.